Welcome if you're new here, welcome back if you're not. My name is Kenzie, this is my book channel, and today is New Year's Eve. It is New Year's Eve, it is the very last day of 2025, so I figured what better way to celebrate the new year than by doing my favorite books of 2025. So for today's video, I'm not doing a full wrap-up of like every single book I read, just because it's gonna be really difficult for me to remember how I felt about each book depending on what it is. Like I'm seeing some books where I'm like, yeah, I liked them, but I don't remember what happened. And like most people would just like look at their Goodreads or whatever while doing one of these videos, except for that's on my phone, which is what I film on, so can't really do that. But for the sake of that, and also this video not being a million years long, I'm just doing my absolute favorites. These are books that were 5 stars, I couldn't put down, I can't stop thinking about, I remember every little detail. And yeah. I am going to have an honorable mention because I'm not quite done with her yet, but I am really enjoying it, which is The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I'm eating this up. It is so easy to sit down and binge, but also I'm just really enjoying the storyline and how different it is from any other book I've ever read. So, honorable mention, The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Okay, first one we're gonna go with is, because at least in my friend group, this was a very highly anticipated book and book series for me to read. The ACOTAR series by Sarah J Maas. Well, please don't fall. Please don't fall. We have A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Mist and Fury, A Court of Wings and Ruin, A Court of Frost and Starlight, and A Court of Silver Flames. And let me tell you, I devoured this series. I loved it so much. I understand the hype. I understand why so many people love it. Like, it's definitely a 5-star series. It's definitely a great series. My favorite is this one right here, Court of Wings and Ruin. The first book I was kind of meh on. Like, I liked it. I think I gave it like 4 stars. The second book, which is a lot of people's favorite, I enjoyed it, but I didn't like, I don't think I reacted the same way as a lot of people do. I will say though, so many people talk about chapter 55. Justice for chapter 54, dude. Chapter 54. In that moment, I literally sat there and was like, because like I was listening to it and reading them, and I literally like sat there and just read the chapter itself. Like, I didn't even listen to it. I was in my feels for that chapter. I can't say I wasn't. So, Court of Mist and Fury, and then A Court of Wings and Ruin ended up being my favorite. I don't know why, really. Guess I'll just have to reread it and figure out why. But I just devoured this series. I will say I don't think A Court of Frost and Starlight is necessary, but it was a nice little break from the seriousness of everything that was going on in this series. And then I love that A Court of Silver Flames focused on a different set of characters, but still the same main group. So I highly recommend this series, whether or not you like spice. If you don't like spice though, I would suggest making sure you know what the spicy chapters are and not reading them, because I'm not gonna lie, for a lot of them I did have to skip just because I'm not the biggest fan of spice, especially because some go so far into detail and I'm like, I don't want to be here for this. So yes. Okay, next let's move on to 3 of my 5 stars that I had this year. I had 5 5 stars this year, which was really good, and I was very happy about that. So no, 6. I just remembered one that I had this year. So we're actually gonna start with that one, which was Dagger and Moon by Kaylee Barnes. This is a Kindle Unlimited only book, I believe. And it was so good. It's dark romance, it's age gap, dad's best friend, motorcycle club tropes, and it is dark romance, yet I devoured this. I loved it, and I don't like dark romance typically. Like the Lights Out series, I can absolutely cackle at, like just die of laughter because it's so funny at times. But I'm really not the biggest fan of dark romance, but oh my gosh, I loved this book. I think I read it in a day, maybe 2, and I'm obsessed. So I should need to figure out if she's coming out with any more stuff, because I might start reading her some more. But that was a really, really good book. The next ones, and these were both rereads for me this year, which was Beyond the Wall by Tom Felton. I love it. If you don't know already, I'd be surprised, but I absolutely love Tom Felton. I love him as a person, as an actor, as an author. Like, I truly, truly, truly love just any project having to do with him. Okay, well, I can't say any. I've seen some questionable movies with him in it, and it wasn't him, it was just the movie itself that I was like, what is this? But anyway, I truly devoured this book. I have listened to the audiobook, read the ebook version, and now I've read the physical copy. And I actually read this twice this year. Once was just a regular reread, and then the other time was because I wanted to read it for his birthday, which is September 22nd. So I got that done, and I tabbed and highlighted and made little notes. But yeah, I truly just, reading this book made me love it even, or reading this book made me love him even more. And then every time I reread it, I just fall in love with the way he told his life story over and over and over again. If you don't know what this book is about, it's how he got into acting, how he grew up, his time on Potter, his time after Potter when he dealt with depression and anxiety, and kind of how he got out of that. So I highly recommend this book, whether it's Tom Felton you love, Harry Potter you love, or you just like to hear about people's triumphs. I highly recommend this book. So next is Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. This was the first 5-star I'd ever found. This was one of the first books, like not the very first, but one of the first books I read when I first started getting into reading and my reading journey in 2024. It's a cute little like rom-com, YA rom-com. With this girl Liz, she's obsessed with romance movies. It's something her and her mom always connected on. And so she kind of romanticizes her life all the time, which is so cute. And then this guy that she had a crush on when she was younger he had moved away, but now he's moved back in town. So she goes to her neighbor and she's like, hey, you're friends with him? Can you help us get together? And the neighbor was like, maybe, I don't know, what's in it for me? So they make a bet, and then they start trying to figure out how to get this neighbor guy to fall for her. And she starts to, or not the neighbor guy, technically the neighbor guy, because he technically moved back into the neighborhood, I think. No, it was not the neighborhood. He lived in a different neighborhood. Sorry. Anyway, they then start coming up with plans to get this guy to fall for her, and she starts to see her neighbor in a whole new light. So it's super cute, not spicy at all. At the most, you get a make-out scene. But it's genuinely so cute. I do understand why some people are annoyed with some of the characters in this book at times, though. But overall, still a really cutesy, great story. And then I found a man called Ove by Frederick Bachman. I was crying. Not necessarily because of the writing itself, but because Ove reminds me so much of my great-grandpa at times. And I absolutely lost it at some point. Parts? Whichever one of those it is I'm trying to say. But it follows the story of this man, Ove. He's a very set in his ways man. He's 60 years old, and he's like, this is the way things have always been, this is the way they need to stay. And everyone else is like, get with the times, dude. And you kind of see him just sort of evolve as a person, and you get a then and now timeline a little bit. So you get to hear a little bit about him from when he was a child and in his not 60s, because that's where he's in right now, but his 20s and 30s. And it's honestly kind of almost like a memoir, honestly, because you hear so much about his life. It's all centered around him. So but this was an absolute 5 stars, and I cried a little bit at some points. Like I said, there's some found family in here, and it's so cute. If you want to get into this author's writing, I highly recommend. This is the only book by him I've read so far, but I recommend reading this book because it truly is such a beautiful story. Okay, for another 5-star, but also the star of a series, King of Wrath by Ana Huang. This was so cute. Sorry, I'm moving around a bunch. My back is hurting, so I need to unplug my TV and turn and use the wall to support my back because my back is hurting really bad. Okay. Next video I do, I'm not doing it on the floor. Why do I keep doing this on the floor? And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm hurting. Why do you think that is, Kenzie? Anyway, I'm gonna take a sip of my root beer. See? Root beer. It's IBC. I was at Walmart the other day, and this girl was like unloading her cart of stuff, like, because she worked there and she was stocking stuff. And she was like, am I in your way? And I was like, no, you're fine. I'm just trying to figure out what kind of root beer I want. And she was like, can't go wrong with IBC. And I was like, you know what? You're right. And it's been forever since I last had any, so. IBC root beer it is. Because it's so good. Anyway. King of Wrath by Ana Huang. This is such a cute little story. Okay, well, it's actually not cute. There's a few very tragic points or parts. Wow, I'm great at remembering what words are. But anyway, this is the first book in her Kings of Sin series, and I was a little nervous that I wasn't gonna like it, but I ended up eating this up. I read it in, I would say, about 24 hours exactly. So, and I'm very glad I savored it, because originally it was gonna be for a 24-hour readathon, and then as I started reading it more and more, I was like, I have to savor this because it is so good. So Vivian, her dad like sets her up in an arranged marriage to this guy Dante. Dante is kind of a jerk, not gonna lie. And he's like, okay, well, fine, I guess I'll do this. And so they go about like trying to figure out the dynamic with each other, but they also kind of don't like each other. So Vivian is so sassy to him sometimes, though. One of my favorite lines was from her being sassy, and I'm like, I like this version of Vivian. She's so funny. So, but I truly just love them as a couple, and I love reading about them, like, because the series is an interconnected series. So you hear about them in other books, but it doesn't necessarily follow them. And with every new book I read in this series, and I like hear about Dante and Vivian, I'm like, my heart, I can't take it. So, but it's just so cute, and I think at one point I started tearing up because of something that was kind of sad that happened, but also made me very proud of Vivian and Dante. So we love that. But you do see that he kind of softens up for her just a little. Alright, next is, and please do not mind how extremely water damaged this one is. I was reading it in the bath and I accidentally dropped it. But King of Pride by Ana Huang. This one I've heard is a lot of people's like least favorite. And I'm thinking that's just because not a whole lot of tragedy happens in this one. Like, okay, I love the series. I am loving Ana Huang's writing, but this is the healthiest couple she has. It really is. At least from what I've already read by her, but yeah, she's water damaged. I'm so sorry. But this one follows Vivian's best friend Isabella and one of Dante's friends, Kai. It's a forbidden romance, but they're also like, I don't really care. We're gonna do it anyway. And they just really have a much healthier relationship than a lot of the ones in this series. But it's so cute because, like, Isabella is not your typical, like, she's not the kind of girl you would think would be a main girl in these types of books, but I think that's why I love even more that she is. She loves to dye her hair funky colors. She probably has tattoos. I can't remember on that one or not. But she's a bartender. You find that in the first book, so it's not really a spoiler. But like, she is not the typical like power suit, I'm a businesswoman kind of vibe. She's like a, hey, this is what I enjoy and this is what I'm doing and it's paying the bills, so it works kind of a person. And I kind of love that about her. And another reason why I love Anna Huang's writing is because she does make sure there are relatable characters in her books. So, but yeah, this one I gave a 4.5, as well as the next one, which is King of Greed. This one is a second chance romance, and I'm a sucker for second chances, or like second chance romances. I blame the fact that I grew up watching Sweet Home Alabama. But Dominic and Alessandra, I forgot her name for a second. I wanted to call her Iona, but that's not her name. That's the name for the one in King of Envy, which I still haven't read. But anyway, so Dominic and Alessandra are married. He kind of messes up. She's like, hey, I want a divorce. And he is like, oh, crap. So, you know, they get a divorce and he's like, yeah, I don't like this though, so I'm gonna try to win her back. And it's just so cute. And the epilogue and one other scene in this book literally had me sitting there going, and like Kim Evie was so happy at things that happened in this book. It was so cute. Anna Huang really knows how to make you feel for her characters. But not gonna lie, my heart kind of broke at that book. But then it got put back together, so. Okay, the last book in the series that I read, and the last 5-star that I found this year, was King of Sloth. This one I actually had to start reading twice in order for it to be a 5-star for me, because the first time I started reading it, I think it's because I had read the other 3 like so like close together. I think I was reading one of them a month, and I like started reading this one. I got to chapter 13 and then I soft DNF'd it. So I didn't mean to. It was just I picked up other books and then I was like, you know what? I don't want to read this. I just don't. And then I picked it up a couple months ago, actually, I think. And I read it and absolutely loved it. This one follows Javier and Sloane. I almost called her Sandra. That is not correct. Javier and Sloane, and it's just so cute. They're like not really enemies, but they definitely bicker a lot and have a lot of banter. But she's his publicist. He's like a typical rich billionaire playboy that you see. But it truly turned into such a cute story. And at one point, I'm not gonna say if it was because spoilers, but there was a scene where he was like talking about something about her. And I literally sat there and went, what? He knows this stuff? And I'm like, that's so sweet. So definitely loved this one. I didn't have any tabs or I would have tabbed it, but I was highlighting. And I'm probably going too fast for you to be able to see, but no, it truly was so cute. And this is also a 5-star series. Actually, this might be a 6-star series for me, not gonna lie. Again, if you're okay with spice and all of that, I highly recommend this series. Or even if you're not, just skipping the spice scenes, but reading these books, because they're truly masterpieces, in my opinion. Okay, the next books I found that I really enjoyed were Wildfire by Hannah Grace. This is the second book in the Maple Hills trilogy. I honestly really enjoyed this. I didn't enjoy Icebreaker that much, which is the first one. This one, I've heard a lot of people refer to it as being written kind of Wattpad-y, and I 100% agree. It is more on the Wattpad side rather than the authorable. No, that's not a word. I don't know. It's not bad. It definitely, you can tell it's one of the more earlier things she's written. I don't know if she has anything else other than this series, actually, kind of think of it. I don't know. This one wasn't bad. I think I gave it like 3.5 stars. This one, however, got like 4.25. I truly liked this one a lot. Basically, these two, they go to the same college. They may have a party. They get together, and then before he can like ask her out or anything, she dips. She's like, I don't want to deal with that. And she's like, okay, I'm not gonna have to see him all summer. And then even when we go back to school, like it's a big campus, I'm not gonna have to see him. She gets to the summer camp she's working at, and who else is working there? Him. So she's like, oh crap, I'm gonna have to face this. And, they start hanging out. They don't really address it for a little while. And then eventually when they do, it was handled in such a mature way. And I think that's why I like this book so much, is because it took the miscommunication trope and it handled it in such a mature way that I'm not sitting there wanting to fight the characters. I'm sitting there going, good job, you're humans, you're adults. You're actually acting like adults. So, yes, but very cute. I would say, I haven't read Daydream yet though, so I can't fully say this. But I would say if you want to read this book, go ahead and just read this book, because it doesn't, mention really too much about Icebreaker, so. But this one was definitely a good one. So, and then The Way I Used to Be by Amber Smith. This one broke me a little bit. This one is about a girl named Eden, and something really bad happens to her, very tragic happens to her, and so the book is just following her and how she's kind of coping with that and dealing with that over the next 4 years of high school. And I will say this, I didn't love the way she handled a lot of things, but she was a teenager and she didn't really know what to do in the situations. I did not like her family. I went to fight her family. Do not treat your daughter like that. She's not your slave, she's your child. Anyway, before I get too mad about it, because it really did, it made me so mad. But no, I think I give it 4 stars-ish. 4 or 4.5. But I did really like it. I will say though, trigger warning. Like I said, bad things happen. And it's actually on the back of the book what happens. So I would recommend reading the back of the book before actually reading this book, because it was not easy to read. And I'm not someone who has ever gone through this, thankfully. But my heart goes out to anyone who has gone through this. Okay, and then the last and final book on this list that I read and I absolutely loved was Recursion by Blake Crouch. I listened to this and oh my gosh, I listened in 5 hours. That's how good it was. Well, plus I just listened at a fast speed anyway. But it was pretty much 5 consecutive hours of listening to it. And I don't typically do that. I typically take breaks. But I truly loved it. But you follow this guy, Barry. He's a detective. And this scientist woman, I don't remember what her name is. I'll put it somewhere on the screen. But you follow her, and all of these people are having these memories where they're living completely different lives, where one might currently be a grocery store clerk, but he's having these memories of being a billionaire and having a family and a really fancy car. And you're like, okay, what is happening? Why are these people having these memories? And so they all get diagnosed with something called false memory syndrome. But is that actually what's going on, or is it something completely different? You don't know until it's actually explained to you. In my mind, blown. My mind blown. So it was so good. When I finished it, I knew one of my friends had also read it, and I texted her. I was like, I just finished it, I'm not okay. And she was like, right? I'm like, I didn't. And then that was all we talked about it. Next time I see her, we're gonna have to actually sit down and talk about it, because I truly, my mind was blown from it. And I really, really want to read more of his stuff, because he did a really great job. But yeah, those are my favorite books of 2025. It's insane to know that in just a couple hours, it's going to be a whole new year. I mean, I've gone through this 21 times, but oh, almost 22. Ew, I don't like that. Hey, but I'll be able to jam out to Taylor Swift's 22. I mean, technically I could do that anytime, but it's going to be even funnier on my birthday, at least in my mind. Anyway, so yeah, that is the end of the year, end of videos for this year, end of this video. So yeah, that is absolutely wild that the next video you see from me is going to be next year. Okay. Don't start with the dad jokes. Anyway, but yeah, I we're gonna say bye now. I'm dragging this out and I don't know why. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope to see you in the new year. I want to thank everyone who joined me on this journey this past year. And I also want to say that no matter how many books you read this year or didn't read, I'm proud of you. Even if you counted like watching me read books as reading, go for it. I will happily let you count that. But yeah, and even if all you did this year was survive, I'm still proud of you and you are doing amazing. And I hope the new year brings you lots of joy and luck and happiness. And I will see you in 2026. Bye.